Cultivating Resilience, Becoming Stronger. Hi, I'm Dr. Lori Stevick-Rust. Resilient coping is how we navigate through this life, how we come back from adversity, how we pick ourselves up after setbacks or failure. But resilience is more than just bouncing back. It's about bouncing back but becoming stronger as a result of what we've endured. There is no question that COVID-19 is going to change all of us. But how we come through this on the other side is entirely dependent on the strategies for coping that we develop today. Our resilient coping techniques and strategies in the present will set us up not only to be able to bounce back from this crisis, but to come through it stronger and better than we were before. As I was preparing to talk about resilience, I ran across a word called kintsugi. It is a Japanese word that refers to a specific art form where the Japanese will take bowls or plates or items that have been cracked or fractured in some way, and they seal them with gold-plated metal, essentially highlighting where the cracks are. And it's based on the Japanese philosophy that it is in the flawed or the imperfect that the beauty sits, and also that the strength is revealed. And as I thought about that, it certainly is very much connected to the concept of resilience. The things that are the most challenging to us, the things that can bring us to our knees, the wounds and the trauma that scars us, is the very place where our light and our strength has the ability to shine. So I want to make the argument for each and every one of us to focus on how can we take what is out of our control, all that is tied to what's happening with COVID-19, manage and support our resilience, to cope with that, to not only just survive and bounce back from it, but to become stronger because of what we have actually endured. So I want to share with you a few concepts or techniques that you might want to consider in building and cultivating your own resilient coping strategies. The first strategy that I want to talk about is honoring your own needs. We are creatures of comparison. We love to look at what other people are doing and how they're managing, and then we compare ourselves against that. And invariably, the way that we compare ourselves is usually negative. So if we are struggling, the comparison becomes, I should be doing better, my colleagues are coping better. If we are navigating and doing okay, the voice can say, what's wrong with you? Are you not taking this serious enough? Why are you kind of scared? Else is scared and unraveling and not sleeping. What are you missing? Either way you look at it, comparison robs us of our ability to be resilient in how we cope. Remind yourself that this is a time of high stress. We are in the middle of a crisis. Taking time and pausing long enough to look at where your moments of building your coping resilience might come from. And sometimes they come from really unusual, strange places. You might find that you become level set with your ability to cope in a silly moment, in a funny moment, in ability to laugh, in a moment where you give yourself permission to cry, where you acknowledge your own fear, where you sit in a place of being uncomfortable and it's okay. Wherever your moments of healing come from, honor that yours are unique and specific to you. And there is no one way to do this. Another strategy is to practice self-compassion and tolerance. High stress and high traumatic experiences tend to polarize us against one another. You know you're not at your best self when you are stressed, when you're overwhelmed. It makes us intolerant. It makes our frustration levels higher. Our fuse gets much shorter. And when we do that and we become intolerant not only with others, it can polarize us internally within ourselves, leading back to more of that negative self-talk and intolerance with our inability to do things the way that we think we should be doing. So the first place is to remember COVID-19 has put us collectively on a path that we've never been on. It is all an unknown. And I think when we remind ourselves of that this is not just unique to me, this is a collective experience, we will find more of our compassion and our tolerance for one another, which feeds back into the compassion and tolerance for ourselves. As a healthcare worker, it's absolutely essential that you pay attention to the signals that you are receiving from your body that you are under a high state of stress. For everybody, it's something different. It may not even be the obvious thing. It could be something that is unique and specific to you that triggers off that stress response. In the moment, in real time, on the job, being mindful of what it is that is setting off that stress response for you is the first step forward. And then the second part of that is to make sure that you are giving yourself an opportunity to recharge in between situations. So whether it's time in between going from one patient to the next, it doesn't have to be a long period of time, but allowing yourself even a few moments to collectively focus on how you are breathing, getting yourself grounded, focusing on your thoughts, and your ability to rebound and recharge yourself will happen before you move on to the next stressful situation or high stress experience that you are bombarded with. As a healthcare worker, your brain is in high ready state of alert. It has to be. Your clarity needs to be there, your problem solving, your judgment, your insight, your quick thinking. All of the higher level executive functioning skills of the brain has to be fully engaged in order for you to be at the top of your game during work hours. But at some point, your brain has to be able to receive a signal that says it's okay to disconnect. It is safe to stop thinking and over-interpreting and intellectually reasoning and move to a place of relaxation and just experiencing without that cognitive layer. And the best way for that to happen is to engage the part of your brain that experiences music. Music has the great ability to activate a whole different area of our brain. It is the place that the neurons fire in a way that connects us to our memories, to emotions, to images, to experiences. And if you're strategic about the playlist that you are listening to, the music that you are experiencing is designed to either help you disconnect and unwind and relax from the job, or to put you in a state of happiness, motivation. But either way, it is disconnecting you from the intellectual thinking and heaviness that comes with overusing the executive functioning component of your brain that you have to do on the job. So think about using music in a very strategic way, either during a break or at the end of your shift as you're trying to drive home and get away from the things and the images from your day on the job. Helping your brain by signaling it that it's okay to unplug. And the third strategy to helping us build our resilience is to seek out a confidant. Somebody that you can confide in, somebody that you can talk to about how you're feeling and what you're thinking about. And I usually encourage people to not have that be their spouse or their children or a close family member or even a close friend. And the reason for that is a confidant who is too close to us is usually the people who love us, who when we are upset, they almost prematurely move to a place of problem solving and trying to fix because it's difficult and painful for them to watch us suffer. And so they want to kind of hurry that process along. A confidant who is perhaps a coworker or a colleague or a professional, their goal is to help you stay in the place where you are, allowing you space and time to talk about your experiences, talk about how you're feeling, share your thoughts, share your strategies. Their job isn't to quickly move to a place of fixing. Their job is to be the mirror that helps you hear and see what you are talking about and experiencing, but perhaps seeing it through a different lens. It's about shifting your perspective, reframing your thinking, coming up with a new strategy, a new way of coping. So I'm going to challenge you to think about who that might be in your life. Who do you know that could sit comfortably and listen, actively listen to what you're going through, give you feedback on your interpretation, the way that you are coping, the way that you're experiencing something, so that you could then maybe see it through a different lens, or it could help shift your perspective in how you're coping. When we're embedded in our own thoughts and the only person listening to us is ourselves, we're stuck in our own head, it's hard to have a different perspective or see the flaws perhaps in the way that we are thinking. We need to rely on others to give us that feedback. And at some point we are going to be on the other side of this crisis. And when we do, our resilient coping strategies, the very things that we are working on today, will bring us through this crisis and not only allow us to have survived it, but to have developed a sense of being stronger because of what we have endured. Stay well, and I'll see you in the next one.